As we continue this special broadcast of the Mike Gallagher Show today, I'm Joey Hudson. In studio as Mike is at the White House, a special day where members of talk radio and other media were invited to the White House to get a chance to meet with a number of cabinet members, senior leaders in the Trump administration, and just meet this all-star team who is working so hard for the American people. On her first official trip as President Trump's on his cabinet, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins traveled to Kentucky last week to meet with farmers and other leaders in the agricultural community, and I'm happy to say that she joins us on our guest line today. Madam Secretary, welcome, and how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you. Before we get into some of the issues that we're going to talk about today, take us behind the scenes, if you will, and tell us about the process. When did you know that President Trump was going to nominate you to be his Secretary of Ag?
Well, actually, this is so fun you asked this because I haven't told it publicly yet, but it's an amazing story. So what your listeners may not know is I worked for the president in the last White House, year 2, 3, and 4 of term 1. I ran his domestic policy agenda, got to work right alongside him. And then in the intervening 4 years, I like to call it the Great Pause. During the Great Pause, I built the America First Policy Institute and really was working to prepare for the next administration so that, when President Trump won again and he went in with his new administration, that the shock and awe would start on day one. And so now, did I expect to be part of that cabinet? I actually did not. I was really happy to keep helping on the outside. I was, building a 100-year infrastructure along with other amazing patriots at America First Policy and America First Works. And my husband and I and our 4 kids were driving in our motorhome from Texas to Alabama to watch the Aggies play Auburn in a football game. We won't talk about the outcome of the game on this show because it did not go our way. But as it seems very appropriate now and maybe providential, as we're driving across Mississippi, Texas and Alabama, I got a call from the president, and we discussed being his 33rd Secretary of Agriculture. I was honored, obviously, beyond belief, the opportunity to fight for American agriculture, our farmers and our ranchers. The backbone of this country is truly the greatest honor and the best job in the world.
Yeah. You mentioned those 4 years, those were painful years for us. But, God works in mysterious ways, and I've just got to believe that maybe we needed those 4 years to really prepare for the next 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, whatever that is. Do you feel like that's the case?
I 100% do. And I'll tell you, the White House before, I'm so proud of all those accomplishments. And right, energy independence, a secure border, the lowest poverty rates on record. I mean, it was one win after another, but it was almost a miracle. Maybe it was because we're not good at government on our side, right? We're good at building businesses and raising families. The left really bows to the altar of government and climate, and that's their fastball. That's what they live for, is to accumulate power and to make decisions for people instead of letting people make their own decisions, which is what we believe. And what I realized in the last White House is that if we can prepare, if we can build a bench, if we start to get ready for the next White House and then the one after that and then the one 100 years from now, we've got the truth and God on our side. And when you have that and you add a plan to it, you can win. And that's what I learned in the last White House. So while we were devastated on November 4th of 2020, when that election we believe was taken from us, I knew that we had to begin to plan immediately. I didn't know President Trump would be the next, the one to go in, but I knew that whomever it was, that if we were prepared, we could actually save a country. And I believe that God gave us those 4 years to be able to prepare and do that.
Yeah. On our guest line today, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins. President Trump has asked all federal agencies, of course, to review and to cut wasteful spending. In this short time that you've been on the job, because you just took the oath of office last week, what have you been able to identify so far in the Department of Agriculture?
Well, it has been just a remarkable couple of days. Within my first 24 hours, we announced the ending 1,000 DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which basically means dividing us. We announced 1,000 of those being canceled for good. We've begun to roll back all of the climate, the Green New Deal efforts. We have been laying off a lot of the 106,000 USDA employees. I'm still getting my arms around it. Obviously, the United States Department of Agriculture is one of the most important in ensuring that the backbone of our country, our farmers and ranchers, can succeed. But when you've got 106,000 employees and 80% of your budget is the food stamp program, which is under USDA, you know that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to streamline, make more efficient, and ensure that our taxpayers are getting the most for their money. So that's what we've really been focused on, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that going forward.
Yeah. You had the opportunity to be in Kentucky last week meeting with farmers. What was top of mind for those farmers that you met with?
Well, and not only was I in Kentucky Friday, I was in Kansas Monday, Missouri yesterday, headed to Oklahoma on next Monday, Georgia soon after. I'm really planning to try to be in the country talking to the farmers and the ranchers as much as I'm talking to anybody else. I think that's so important. Listen, we are facing in perhaps 100 years the most difficult time in the ag community economically. Under the Joe Biden 4 years, our exports went from being a plus 50 billion, meaning that we were shipping our ag products out of this country when Trump left office 4 years ago, to a $45 billion export deficit that we're facing after 4 years of Biden. Our inputs, the cost, of course, not surprising to all of your listeners, inflation has gone out of control, but it is now 30% more expensive for our farmers and ranchers to do business, to provide what they provided just 4 years ago, 30% more expensive. We've lost 140,000 family farms in recent history. This is not sustainable. We can't keep going if we want an ag industry. So these are all massive issues. Of course, immediately the avian flu, which hits everybody because of the cost of eggs we've all seen at the grocery store. We've got some pretty big issues to tackle, but I feel so strongly that with President Trump's leadership, and hopefully I'll be able to help in my perch, that we're going to be able to tackle all of that successfully in very short order.
Yeah. Secretary Brooke Rollins, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing, and we're going to expect big things in the next 4 years.
The Mike Gallagher Show, you are always and have always been such great friends of this administration, and I'll come on anytime you need me, so thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we'll certainly take you up on that. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yes. Secretary Brooke Rollins with the Department of Agriculture. It's going to be fun to watch this, and this is just one of many instances with the various agencies that they're going to dig deep. And there's something that can be cut in every agency, and we're seeing that already in these early days of the Trump administration. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike today. Appreciate you being with us.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.